Hello guys, welcome back to Real Reds Talk. This is your daily news show hosted by myself. Joining me on the show today, we have Sam, fresh home from Crete. How was your holiday, sir?
It was great, mate. 7 days, 8 days of relaxation, pool, beach, lots of drinking, lots of raki. If you don't know what that is the Greek drink of choice. It is lethal.
Heavy.
And my girlfriend does not really drink. She has 1 or 2 cocktails and she's fucking done. So I had to drink all the raki that got offered to me. So yeah, I probably will not be drinking for a while. But yeah, it was good. Really enjoyed it. Back, refreshed, ready to go. It's a shame that I've come back to no football, but it is what it is.
That's a very good point. Secretly, he's been messaging me every single day saying
Yes.
I'm really missing the channel. I cannot wait to get back.
Yeah.
And behind the scenes, you know, it's
just 1 second though.
Missed you.
Can I just shout out to Dan as well? He did an amazing job while I was away. Really good. Like a little few issues, but I have issues as well. But I thought Dan done a really good job while I was away, and Nick did a really good job with the Instagram. So shout out to both of you for taking over in my stead.
I have issues as well, but that's not laptop based. But yeah. Anyway, we've got Shreyas on the show as well. How are you, sir?
I'm doing well, Nick. How are you?
God's sake. God's sake.
I'm good. I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, 4-day week in it because bank holiday. So we take the positives and we move. In regards to in regards to the show today, guys, of course, always a lot of stuff to discuss. Bruno Fernandes has done a big interview with The Athletic talking about the new manager, Erik ten Hag, his progression as a player and his time under former manager Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We've also got a bit of transfer news to dive into at the end of the show as well. So if you're new to the channel and you would like to support us, please click that subscribe button and like the video. We are only, how many away was it? 31 subs away from 700. So if you can help us achieve that goal, we'd really appreciate it. We're at this level right now because you lot are watching. So again, we appreciate the support and thank you very much for that. Let's jump into it, lads. Bruno Fernandes interview. As I said, The Athletic have done it. I want to read out some of the quotes and get your thoughts on them. So I'll start off with a few quotes that he said on Erik ten Hag. And he says, first of all, Erik ten Hag has an idea. He has a style. You have to follow the rules. He is strict on that, and I like that. He brought discipline, which is something I think we missed in the past. Everyone must be on the same page. I saw the manager say in a press conference that we do not want to bring players just for the sake of it. We want to bring the right players for what we want to do. It is something the club needs. Certainly seems like his ideas are aligned with the manager, Sam, and is impressed with ten Hag. How do you think Bruno Fernandes has performed this season, and are you personally happy with his progress?
I think he's been better. I think last season was probably one of his worst seasons since he's been at the club. His stats were still good though. If you look at his statistics last season, they were still pretty good. I just think on the pitch, his attitude and the way he seemed to present himself was lacking compared to the previous season when he came in. But this season has been a lot better. The captain armband, it seems to have reinvigorated him, if anything. I think he enjoys that responsibility. I think he was captain at Sporting, wasn't he, before he came? So I think he enjoys that sort of leadership role. And again, Ronaldo's not really been playing, which again I think is a positive for Bruno. I think that only helps him because I think he plays within himself when Ronaldo's on the pitch. I think we'll get into the quote later in the interview, what he says about Ronaldo. But yeah, I think he's been really good this year, and I hope it just continues to improve. Like every other player seems to be improving under ten Hag. The new players, some of the best that we've seen, and the older players like Dalot, for example, Bruno, Rashford's even stepped up. I think Sancho, they've all stepped up under ten Hag, and I think Bruno's one of those guys, and I hope it just keeps continuing. I hope he doesn't take a dip. I hope he doesn't take a step back. If Ronaldo does come back into the team, I hope he continues on.
Yeah, because we was a little bit worried, weren't we, at the start of the season, saying, oh, God, old Bruno, like what he was like in patches last season, the start against Brighton and Brentford, but then that goes the same for a lot of the players at the start, and a lot of them weren't up to scratch, like McTominay, for example, who looks a completely different player now. In regards to his performances on the pitch, Shreyas, are there any improvements you've noticed since Eric Ten Hag's come in with Bruno Fernandes?
I think definitely there has been a shift in his attitude, I would say. There has been a shift in the style he actually plays his game as well, because he looks far more composed on the ball. He isn't making, spur of the moment decisions whenever he gets the ball now. I think he's still adapting as a 10 in this new system. I think the best of him is still yet to come, but we are seeing positive signs. We are seeing him more integrated with the squad. I think he's able to link up with Sancho and the attack quite well. And I think Eriksen is helping him out quite a lot. I think having that sort of a personality alongside him who can take the ball off from the back four and allow him to actually, stay forward more, do, the kind of things where he can actually show what he's truly about. I think that's why we are getting the, better side of Bruno right now. I think definitely there is still scope for improvement, but the way it's progressing right now, I think it's a good track to be on. And hopefully, I think by the time the derby kicks in and, the games in full capacity of 3 to 4 games per week actually kick in, I think that's when we'll actually need Bruno to kick on.
Absolutely. And I like the slight dig he made at the board as well when he mentioned only bringing in the right players, which is what we need. Slight dig at the recruitment over the past couple of years, especially under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And look, Bruno's become a very vocal player. He's becoming more and more of a leader, and he's improving on the pitch. So long may it continue. In this interview, he also got asked about situations with the referee and criticism in regards to his moaning on the pitch, which we've said on this channel many a times. He said Nicolas Pepe had some bad games and everyone was saying he still has to adapt to the Premier League, but when Bruno was having a bad game, it's just because he was moaning or not focused on the game. He said, I can't even fight with somebody who's I can even fight with somebody who is my friend away from the pitch. I play against Wolves and there are many Portuguese players, but if I have to kick them, I will kick them. If I have to moan at them, I will. And then the last kind of thing was, I play for United, so I know all the cameras are on our players, but everyone in the Premier League does that. Zaha is always moaning at the referee. It's because he gets fouled, so it's normal that he moans. But Sam, petulance is something we're both not a fan of when it comes to Bruno's game. Is this a case of body language looks different to what he's actually saying? Like, has he actually provided a fair perspective on this, do you think, in what he said in them quotes?
I think he says later on in the quotes, a bit, he's speaking to like Terrell Malacia, and Terrell got pissed off at him because he was shaking his hands at him, and he thought Bruno was like having a go at him, but it was actually because the pitch, according to Bruno, the pitch is so loud, the crowd, and he was quite far away. He couldn't tell what he's actually saying. What he actually was saying was, "Oh, next time you need to do this. Oh, next time try this." He wasn't going, "For fuck's sake," but his gestures and his body language sort of suggest otherwise, which I think we've complained about quite a few times. I think we've said sometimes his body language, like he sort of throws his hands up or that stuff. But I think that's I think it's a trend of like a lot of sort of fiery players or sort of maybe Latin blooded players. Like Ronaldo does it quite a lot. Martinez is that kind of guy. Dallo, for example, they're all that sort of fiery temper. You've seen it in them. I think if Bruno sort of narrows his focus and makes it about firing the players up, calling players out when they're not playing well or not doing the correct things, I'm all right with that. That's fine. It's when he whinges to the referee about every single decision. It's just it's like complain and then let it go, walk away. But he's on and on and on. And I think that's what we all have an issue with it. I think the fire on the pitch and the anger, quite rightly, at certain players is perfectly fine, and I'm all about it. We've seen Lissandro do it. We saw Dallo do it. I've seen De Gea do it this season as well, which is shocking to me because I didn't think he had that in him. So yeah, it's a time and a place, and it's for the certain things. I don't want it to be about silly little decisions with the referee because it's pointless arguing. There's no need for it, and you might get booked in the end of it. So yeah, I think time and a place, about the right things. I think that's what he needs to focus on. Yeah,
Shreyas, I'm going to bounce what Sam said and another quote which kind of relates to that. Bruno said, the thing people say about how I wave my arms, mates, that has never happened. That is a complete lie. I can use my arms to ask for the ball and to tell them about where to move to the ball. But it seems like he's over defending himself. Do you know what I mean? Like he's super focused on it on criticism for me when I look at it like that, and I feel like he just needs to get his head down and play football. Would you agree with that?
I think after last season, almost, I would say the entire locker room was in a situation where, they were just hell-bent on actually defending themselves rather than actually thinking about the club. And what he said today, once again, I I think every single fan has pretty much seen how Bruno actually reacted at times on the pitch when we actually needed someone to, keep their head in the game, be focused, keep on moving the ball about. I don't think Bruno was the player who was actually trying to do that. We saw him disrupt play a lot of times. The ball was still under play, but he used to, completely go at the referee. He used to disrupt a lot of our attacks as well, and I think there still needs to be. I think under Ten Hag, definitely there has been a change in the discipline of the entire squad. I think definitely there has been a positive shift to that because we've seen how, especially I still remember that Atletico Madrid game, they were just doing everything to waste the time, and we were giving them every single opportunity to do so, and that was just because we were reacting to every single stuff they did on that pitch. And I think Ten Hag actually saw that as well when he came into the squad, and he's been able to rectify it for the most part, I would say. Got new personalities into the squad. I think that has helped out a lot in that area as well. But yeah, I think he is at fault in a certain areas, especially when it comes to how he conducted himself on the pitch and reacted to some decisions on the pitch. Definitely, he was at fault. Um, but yes, I think now that he is the captain, at least for the time being, he is our captain on the pitch. I think we'll be seeing a bit more of that because you can't really, shift the personality of a player altogether. I think we'll still see a few bits of that, but overall, I think if he's able to perform, if the team is able to perform well alongside him, it doesn't really matter that much.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think the more we win, the less people will kind of focus on that kind of shit. I think the reason why it was so highlighted last season was because of how terrible we was in the bad form we was in. So, yeah, I agree with that. And lastly, on this kind of segment they're doing here, Sam, the quote, "If I have to kick them, I will," is a quote I know you'd be a fan of as it has a bit of bite and a bit of shithousery about it. Do you think that was something we was lacking massively under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, that kind of fight and mentality?
I think Bruno's always had that fighting mentality, but I think some of the players that he was surrounded by last season didn't have that. I think Scott McTominay has it. I think Bruno has it.
Yeah.
I think Dallo has it. But then we were surrounded by people like Pogba. He doesn't have it. Jesse Lingard. Maguire. Shaw. They don't have that. They don't have it in them. And we saw under Ole, the team didn't change much. It was the same team every week. And when you do that, there's lack of character, lack of leadership. I think it drags everybody else down. So I think then that's when we saw the petulant Bruno, because that was he was just fighting anything at that point. He wasn't, because we weren't playing well. So I think Ten Hag's brought that back, because Ten Hag's clearly a fiery character. We've seen him in press conferences. We saw what he did after the Brentford loss with the 13-kilometre run. So we know he's that kind of character. So I think he brings that out of the players. And I think under Ollie, we had too much of a matey culture. It's all the boys and the lads, and yeah, we're all friends. And you can't run a football club that way. It doesn't work that way. You need somebody. You need the manager who's in charge, and the players follow what the manager does. And if you don't, you're gone. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
The manager should be fair, but he should be very, very firm and strict, especially with modern day players. Like, a lot of modern day players get away with fucking murder, as you saw under Pogba, as you saw under Lingard and stuff. Well. So yeah, and you see under Maguire. Maguire's been dropped, and I don't know if we're going to get into it today, but he's been sort of whinging and complaining about it, hasn't he? About David De Gea and stuff. So you see these players, you see the true character. When you get a good manager, you see the true character of a player, I think. And I think you see that under, say, for example, someone like Conte. Conte's come in and he's absolutely drilled these guys. And he's brought in Basuma and he's not played. Because I think he's realised he's not up for a fight. And apparently I've read something about Basuma at Brighton. He was one of the worst trainers. He sucked in training. He was really, really bad. And you know what Conte's like? He said, if you don't train well, you don't play.
Yeah.
So that sort of lends credence. I think Ten Hag's the same way. If you don't train well and you don't play well, you don't play. And I think that's why Bruno under this team is thriving, because I think Bruno trains well and he plays well and he has that fight, all the things Ten Hag's looking for.
I think that thing he did with the bringing him in on the Sunday to run that 13 kilometres was risky, because you're bringing him in kind of midweek between, when they're about to play the next game. It's like, if this doesn't work out and they look leggy in that game, it's going to come back to bite him in the arse. But it definitely works, because the next game after that, was it Liverpool? After the game, wasn't it? The Liverpool game, massive game to kind of do that. And then he threw Lisandro and Varane as a pairing in that, hadn't even played a game together. So he took a lot of risks, but the risk paid off, and that's a sign of a very good manager who knows what he's doing. So, yeah, I agree with what you've said there. There's a couple more quotes in regards to his time under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'll read a couple of them out, and then likewise, I'll ask you some questions on him. So he said, "My first day at United, Solskjaer said to me, just be yourself. I know what you were capable of with the ball, but I also want you to be a leader in the squad as well, like you have been at Sporting." He said he still sends me some messages and says congratulations for certain things. He's someone I want to remain in touch with. I said that to him before we left the club. And my agent said, you don't need to worry, because anytime I bring you a club, it will be a dream club for you. He knew that the dream club was United. Ollie was a big part of that, because he actually went to see my games. Shreyas, I think we remember the impacts, obviously, Bruno Fernandes had under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Nothing short of world class. 18 goals, 12 assists in the 2021 campaign. Do you think he suits that counter-attacking style more, similar to Rashford in that sense? Or do you think are you confident he can develop in this Ten Hag system?
I think definitely when he was brought in, the way we actually played football, it was counter-attacking. And considering, I would say at that time, our attack was quite balanced in a way that, there was some stability there. It helped him to actually grow more into it. He had a very, very good combination with Martial up top as well. Martial was getting loads of chances per game. And I think at the end of Oli's reign, the biggest issue was that the players Oli actually got in weren't the kind of players you would actually want to play in a counter-attacking system, because Sancho is definitely not a counter-attacking player. Ronaldo now is not a counter-attacking player, and the kind of football, I think Oli was trying to merge two ideas into one, but the players he had couldn't really function with it, and Bruno ended up paying the price for it, because he didn't really know how to perform in certain games. And I think now he's definitely adapting into it. I think under Ten Hag he could become a much better player, because considering we used to have 40 to 45% possession at times against any team you would pick out in the league. Even if Bruno used to get an assist, even if Bruno used to get a goal, there used to be, I would say, clear-cut just 3 to 4 chances in that game in total in the full 90. Under Ten Hag, we've still seen that we are far more creative on the ball. We create more chances. We are definitely getting the hang of getting more possession in games. We're slowly growing into that team. So if Bruno is able to dictate the game with 60 to 70% possession in games like that, I think definitely his game elevates up a level.
What about yourself, Sam? Would you agree with that in regards to the Bruno style? Do you think he suits counter-attacking more, or do you think he can develop?
I think we're only playing counter-attack style under Ten Hag is because he hasn't got the players to play the way he wants to play.
Yeah.
He's clear he needs a goalkeeper who can play out from the back and is good with his feet. We haven't got that. He wanted another right back, because all we've got, if Dalot gets injured, that right hand side's going to suffer massively with Wan-Bissaka, because he's not capable of playing the way Ten Hag wants to play. It's clear he didn't fancy Tellez, and it's clear he gave Luke Shaw an opportunity and didn't take it, and now Malasia's pretty much nailed down that left hand spot. So it's clear he obviously didn't get De Jong, which was probably a massive part of his plans for the way he wanted to play. And he's gone last minute and got Casemiro. So I think he's adapted the way he wants to play. But in terms of if Bruno can play in a possession-based team, which I think where Ten Hag's heading once he gets the players he wants, I think he can do it. I think Ten Hag's that kind of coach where he's capable of coaching a player and making them better and being able to adapt them to different styles. It's clear that he's given people like Maguire opportunities. He's given Shaw opportunities. He's given Ronaldo an opportunity, and they don't seem very capable of adapting. If not adapting quickly, anyway, they don't seem to have adapted as quickly as, say, Scott McTominay, Christian Eriksen, Malacia and stuff. So I think I don't think Bruno would be in the team if Ten Hag didn't see something in him that he could mould and change, because we've seen him drop players and we've seen him like not play them completely. Like Maguire's played since the Brentford game, Maguire's played 10 minutes? If that.
Every game he started, we've lost.
Yeah.
And
Maguire in.
Every game Varane's played, we've won. So it is what it is. So yeah, I think Bruno can thrive under a possession-based team. How that looks and who the players around him are, I doubt it's going to be Fred and McTominay once Ten Hag gets the players he wants. But we'll see what happens, hopefully. And I think he can, but hopefully it works out.
And it seems like Christian Eriksen coming into the team, playing in that deeper role, has kind of given him a bit more license in where actually Bruno Fernandes plays, because when we played under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, it was very one-dimensional. If Bruno was the outlet of creativity, if you shut that down, we were then relying on the likes of McTominay, Fred, these kind of guys to come up with something. And as we know, a lot of the time they wouldn't. So Eriksen coming in takes onus off Bruno. He's the one breaking the lines with the passes now, doing that Frankie de Jong role, and that's freed Bruno up, which has made him come to life as well. So Eriksen's had a massive impact on that, and it looks like Bruno Fernandes is slowly becoming more of a leader, more starting to suit the system. I said it at the start. He's going like that. He's not going like that. He's not improving like that, but he's quite slowly going up, more up and up. And I'm liking it. He's getting there, and I think within the next couple of months, once he gets used to the players and it starts to develop proper patterns of play and relationships with the full team, it'll be even better. But on the captaincy, obviously, as you mentioned then, Sam, Harry Maguire's had an absence from the team. I would just as a question to both of you, are you happy for him to develop in that role as captain?
Yeah, because who else do we put in there? There isn't anybody else, is there? I think we all said last year it's too early. It's too early. I love him, I really do. I think future captain material, but it's too early.
I know.
I think, last year we probably would have said Bruno, but then his petulance, that's what stopped. We were like, he's too. Yeah. But I think he's sort of trying to erase that out of his game. So I think, I think the only other people we wanted was Ronaldo, Bruno, and then De Gea. And I don't think De Gea's longed for this United team under Ten Hag. I think next year or two he's gone, and Ronaldo don't want to be here. So it fell to Bruno, and he seems to be taking it on.
I saw a stat. Sorry, Shrez, I'll let you get into the questions there. Then I saw a stat this morning in regards to it was something to do with the deepest lying keepers in the Premier League, or the deepest lying defensive line, and United was near the top because of David De Gea. And obviously the way Ten Hag wants to play, he wants him kind of the keeper specialist sitting on that 18-yard box, because when a full team pushes up, you need the keeper to push up with him as well, so you create that trap there. If it's spaced like that, it was like the opposite under Ole, where we had like two banks of four there, everyone was protected, and then there was a massive gap between like Bruno and Rashford and these kind of guys, so we never really got control of the game. So I do think eventually that kind of keeper situation needs to be assessed, and I keep mentioning it, and I've had people saying like, oh, you don't like De Gea or whatever, blah blah blah. I do like De Gea. He's been quality. He's been a great shot stopper. If it wasn't for him last season, him and Ronaldo, we would have been in a lot of shit. So I respect the fact that he's really good at shot stopping, but there's other sides to his game that he is not great at. So just two questions to yourself, Shreyas. Just talk to me about David De Gea, because I know you're a fan yourself and you have a slightly different opinion. And then talk to me about the captaincy role as well, and if you're happy for Bruno to continue in that role that he's in.
I think for now, I am happy with Bruno. I think right now he has got a good record wearing that armband as well. We haven't really lost a game while he's been captain, and he looks, I think, far more better while playing as a captain. Maybe because he feels like a leader, he thinks he should be stepping up, and for now he actually is doing that. So, and except that, I don't really see anyone else right now who would be capable of doing that job. The other people who could do that job are either too fresh, they've just come in, or there is still room to see how good they can be, and maybe then we can have that conversation. So for now, I think yes, Bruno is pretty much the only choice we have when it comes to captaincy. And except that, I think with De Gea, I think he will be the last one to get replaced in the squad. Once again, I think we still have much bigger concerns all around
Does
that
he
pitch.
need?
I
Does he
think
need replacing though? Yeah. Yes or no?
I think
Do
for
you
now,
think?
Depends on the
for me,
season.
no.
It depends on De Gea. Oh, we talk about Bruno.
If you could bring in De Gea, if you could bring in a keeper right now,
Yeah, he needs
who,
to.
who
He needs to go. It's done.
I think if there was a choice of bringing someone decent in, maybe yes. If someone decent, well-rounded could come in, yes. But if it would be someone like, we'll have to put a gamble on, I wouldn't want that, because we still have bigger concerns in that pitch. We still need a backup right back. We still need another midfielder who can actually, fill in for Casemiro,
Striker.
as well as Eriksen when they are not fit. Striker as well. Probably, with the outgoings we might have in January, you never know if we are in need of another centre back as well, because you can't really trust Harry Maguire in case Martinez or Varane get injured. And with Varane's injury record, you definitely need another centre back in your list who can do that job for us.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. I'm so worried about this international break now. I said it on the show last night with Adam. Varane going away with France, we know what happens with him. He always comes back with an injury. I'd love to see the record of how many times he's been away with him whilst he's been United and how many times he's come back injured. Because it's got to be about 90% of the time. He always picks up knee injuries or ankle.
Do a
and then going out of the team, bringing Maguire back into it, I'm just like,
do a Fergie and just withdraw him from the squad. Do you remember when Fergie used to withdraw players all the time and go, oh, he's not really fit, and he'd just keep him at home? Like, can we do that for Varane, please?
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
I'd happily do that. Do you think Ten Hag's done that with as well? Because obviously he was supposed to be called up to the England squad, and there was a decision to make there whether Ten Hag was going to be like, yeah, you can go, because it's kind of a little bit of a provisional squad for the World Cup, and it's the last international break before they go to the World Cup. So you would think that Rashford, even though he'd have a little bit of an injury, would want to go. Maybe Ten Hag's looked at it and said, look, the club comes first. You need to get back to fitness, and then we can assess the situation. So hopefully he's done that with Marcus as well.
I don't think Southgate rates Rashford. I don't think he rates Rashford or Sancho. That's why. Like, why would Sancho not be in this squad? Like, he's been great. He's been fantastic. Why is he not in the squad? Why is Jared Bowen in this? Why is Jared Bowen in the squad? But he's been awful. Jared Bowen's been awful for West Ham this season. Last season he was great. He was fantastic. Fully deserved his call up. This season he's been terrible. And Jadon Sancho, he's not been at his scintillating best, but he's been good. He scored goals, assists. Like, his confidence is up. Why is he not in the squad? So I don't think it's Ten Hag keeping him. I think it's Southgate doesn't rate him.
So they put a positive spin on this the other day when he was on the show, and he said, look, they should be going, but the fact that Marcus and Jadon aren't means we'll definitely have him when the international break finishes, and they'll be fully fit and fresh. So it's kind of like, I suppose there's a positive in it when you look at it like that, but you kind of feel for him in a sense, because Sancho's probably been working so hard to get to that point and getting a couple of goals, getting a couple of assists, and then Southgate's still like, no. Which goes to show, Southgate came out with this thing and said, I pick players on form. He's full of shit. No. He has favourites. Because Luke Shaw's gone and Harry Maguire.
They haven't played.
And they
haven't played.
Even when they have done, like, the start of the season, they was shit.
But they've said we've played.
Like I said before.
We've played how many games? 7 games a season? 8 games?
Yeah.
And they've only played 2.
Considering the Europa as well.
They played 2 games.
That's what I mean. So they're not even like match fit properly. They've not got. It's just he's clearly got favourites. So yeah.
But
we could do.
He drops players as well, like, who are in form. Like, Pickford's been good for Everton. He's been decent.
Yeah.
But he's dropped him. And it's like, I don't.
Is he not injured, Pickford? I thought he was injured.
Is he injured? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
I thought
he was injured.
All right, fair enough.
Someone else was keeping for Everton during this weekend.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure. But Begovic played in that, didn't he?
Yeah.
Begovic
did,
yeah.
But
he does have favourites. Let's be honest.
Yeah, and you see, like, obviously Harry Kane is 100% going to play, no matter what. He's going to get selected, and obvious reasons. But why are, like, people like James Maddison's had a very good start to see. Obviously, Leicester have been
Yeah.
Leicester have been terrible. Like they've been awful.
But
But Madison's been very good. Why has he not got a call up? Where's his? I'm glad Ivan Toney's finally got his chance because fucking hell, what else did he have to do to get selected? Like I think he's been arguably one of the best strikers in the league. So yeah, it's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's bizarre. His selection methods are bizarre.
And Tamori as well. Tamori's gone, so I'm happy about that because
Finally,
he's been playing well better than a lot of our English centre backs. There was a thing you mentioned before about Maguire and De Gea. I haven't got it on my thing, but I want to discuss it because I'm not sure has he come out and said something about him?
So
does any of you guys know the?
He basically was. Let me get the actual quote up because I don't want to.
But it was something. Was it about him being vocal or captaincy or something?
Yeah, just fill the time and I will find the actual quote.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Everybody in the house, come on.
I said fill the time, not scare the viewers away.
You didn't give me any specifics. I saw me
fair
on
enough.
Amy moment.
Here we go.
Take it or leave it.
Here we go. Harry Maguire frustrated with David De Gea as Man United captain faces harsh reality. Maguire's fallen out of favour at Manchester United, not starting a game since the humiliation at Brentford. He continues to be left on the bench by Erik Ten Hag and has grown frustrated with David De Gea. Where's the actual quote? It appears though he faces a tough task to reclaim his spot. Maguire accepts some responsibility for his poor form, but is also privately critical of some of his teammates. He feels like he hasn't been helped by the players or coaches around him. Some of the frustrations have been aimed at David De Gea, who retained his place since Ten Hag took in charge. It stated that he's become annoyed with the Spaniards' lack of communication and reluctance to defend further from his goal line.
Oh my god, that is just a blame game. That can we all get the viewers watch this now while people play a violin chat for
World's tiniest violin. World's tiniest violin.
Me. Fucking hell, Maguire. How can you come out and say that? Like, that's throwing the blame at other people. That is like a classic example of like a toddler who's been told off and he's like, well, it wasn't me, it was him.
Well, it's like, do you remember when the United were getting criticised? He did that horrendous interview where he's like, well, all the managers have selected me, so I must be playing well.
Yeah, I must be playing well.
I must play. It's like,
not, mate.
What are you talking about?
You watch video analysis of your own performances. I did a season, as you both know, where I look back at all his errors for the goals. 18 errors for goals he had. And then 18, and it's him falling over, like not reading the game right. Like I get like just shit like that, and you're like, right, you can't blame De Gea being slightly withdrawn. Yeah.
I feel like he needs to think before he speaks, because sometimes he speaks and it's just utter shite that comes out of his mouth. And then he does stupid shit like when he scored against, was it Moldova? Andorra?
Andorra.
And he's put his fingers in his ears. It's like, mate, you've scored against you scored against a bunch of part-time plumbers. What the fuck? Just sit down, be quiet.
And it was that thing about the clicks as well, wasn't there? It was Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire wasn't happy with Cristiano, the guy who's won everything there is in the game to win, and Maguire's won nothing, and he's complaining. Like, he has got to be, I don't want to make this, again, a roast of Maguire, but he has got to be the worst captain we've ever had. And I don't see him I think he's Europa League centre-back now, and that's it.
He's not playing, he's not even playing in Europa League.
Yeah, unless Varane gets injured, or he'll be straight back.
I think he
can't get back into that now.
I think Lindelof is ahead of him in the pecking order at this point.
Yeah.
I think it's Varane, Licha, and then Lindelof. I think that's the order at the minute.
Yeah, I think that just a consistent message needs to go to the players that are not in the blaming other people, focus on your own performances and work hard in training. That's how you get back into the squad, not fucking blaming everyone else. Anyway, we've got some other little bits of transfer news to discuss. Went off on a bit of a tangent there, didn't we? I'm going to start with Cody Gakpo, and this is coming from Fabrizio Romano, who's on the United stand. He said, keep an eye on Gakpo to United. The relationship with his agents is very good, as Erik Ten Hag and Gakpo share the same agent. That is a big point in a possible transfer. I looked at Adam told me his stats last night, Sam, and I was like, holy shit. This season, he's got 8 goals and 6 assists in 7 games.
Mental.
Which is just fucking phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. Even you can say, oh, it's Dutch League or whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't care. He's got fucking 8 goals and 6 assists. Everyone's piping off Neymar because he's got 7 goals and 5 assists. That's in a Farmers League, a French league. So Gakpo deserves the praise as well.
Yeah.
If he rejects a new contract with PSV, Sam could be available for around 25 million. Is this someone you'd be looking at? You're going for?
Yeah, Ten Hag clearly liked him because he was the backup option to Anthony, wasn't he? They were looking at him. Versatile player, could play on the wing, could play up front. Where's he playing this season? Is he playing up front or is he playing on the wing?
You know what? PSV's manager, a legend of United, Roy, is actually playing him up top. He's playing
really?
number 9.
So that's why he's scoring then. So yeah, it could be a good option as striker wise, and again because he's versatile, which I think Ten Hag likes. I think Ten Hag likes versatile players. Obviously, you got Christian Eriksen who can play a bunch of different roles. You've got Lisandro Martinez who could play a bunch of different roles. So I think he likes players like that. Obviously, you got Rashford who could play wing, striker. So I think he likes players like that. So yeah, 25 million's bargain. I think he's a good player. How old is he? 20, 21? 22. Great age profile. Again, fits all the ticks the boxes for the Ten Hag transfer system. Is he Dutch? Yes. Did Ten Hag coach him or coach against him? Yes. Did he play for Ajax? No. But he ticks all the other boxes. So yeah, I think he'd be a great addition. If we can get him for a decent price, why not? Let's see what the kid can do and bring him in. If Ronaldo leaves, that I think we'd need a starting striker. I don't know if Gakpo is the guy you bring in to be like, you're our number 9 nailed on start. I don't know if he's that guy, but as terms of squad number and bodies, yeah, he'd be great. I've not watched a lot of him. I watched both games he played against Rangers in the Champions League qualification. I watched both of those and he looked decent. He looked like a good player. But yeah, if he's available for a decent price, why not?
Absolutely. He's a bit gangly. And that was one of the criticisms. I remember watching a game in the Conference League last season, Leicester versus PSV, and he was going up against James Justin and Ricardo Pereira for Leicester, and he got a bit bullied physically. So maybe that's something he can work on if he was to come to the Premier League and, kind of bump up his strength and stuff.
I think he'd bulk up, wouldn't he? He's still growing, so he's going to fill out his frame, I think.
Do you like Marcus Rashford a couple of years ago? He was a bit weak on the ball and stuff, but he seems a bit stronger now. I'd say a similar transformation is needed, and he's lightning quick for his fight. Shreyas, the fact that him and Ten Hag share the same agent is obviously promising. Do you see this being a deal maybe we can do in January, or do you think it's more likely that it's going to be the summer? Because there's a lot of reports coming out at the minute. Surprise, surprise, about the Glazers pulling the purse strings for the January window. However, there's probably going to be dividends taken, which wouldn't surprise me at all. But yeah, what window do you see this deal being done in, do you think?
I think next season. I think it would be the next season window. I still don't. I think after getting Anthony for that amount of price, I don't really expect us to be doing any business in this window. Maybe 1 or 2 outgoings could still happen, but I don't see us buying anyone. I think they'll definitely want to save as much money as they can, try and grind out this season with the players we've got right now, and maybe invest in the next season. But yes, I don't see us investing or going or being very active in this window, because we've shelled out 60 million for Casemiro, we've shelled out almost 85 million for Anthony as well. So I don't really see us actually doing much business.
You just see what do we call it? Like the line coming out in December. They just dropped 220 million spent in the summer. No money being spent in January. You just know that's going to come out, don't you? It's like a brief from Andy Mitten, Laurie Whitwell, all these kind of guys.
The typical January is a tough market. That's always the line, isn't it? Yeah. It's always the line. Despite the fact that we got 2 of our best ever players in January.
And Bruno Fernandes as well.
And Bruno,
we got Evra, Vidic, Bruno. Yeah, they're all full of shit, as we know. And the last bit of kind of transfer news I want to touch on is, again, another striker, some more news coming out. This was originally from the Mail Online, but Neil Custis from the Sun has reported it as well. And I know the Sun talk a lot of shit, but Neil Custis actually has some ties in with United. And they've said Manchester United are preparing a 25 million bid for Benfica forward Goncalvo Ramos as Erik Ten Hag looks for a new forward, and the club have already made contact with the Portuguese under-21 international. I've mentioned this in the chat before to you both. I didn't know much about this player. I had a little look at his goals and assists this season. 4 goals, 1 assist in 6 games. But he had 7 goals and 1 assist in 29 games last season. So for me personally, I think this is a player who's had a bit of good form. Agent throwing links out there, and United gather. Agent throwing links out there for United to gather some interest. But what do you think, Sam? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Portuguese agents, they love it, don't they? Love putting stuff out there. Every fucking week, it's just like some Portuguese agents pimping his player out to a Premier League team. Also, Benfica produces some fucking talent, aren't they? Like, last couple of things, they've produced some serious players. Obviously, we're not going to talk about... what was it? So, I know Uruguay and Andy Carroll, but somebody fucking put a name in, and I can't remember what it was. Fuck.
What, in the chat?
No. I saw it on Twitter. Like, they named him like a Spanish name. I'm gonna have to find it. I'll find it in a bit. It's fucking hilarious.
He's had so much abuse, him, and rival fans.
Yeah. So Benfica. Did we get Lindelof? Benfica.
Yeah. Matic.
Matic.
Benfica as well.
So yeah, they produce some talent. Like they seem to have a good talent scouting network. Don't know anything about this lad. Don't know. Not watched him play. I've not seen him score. I don't know much. But yeah, to me, just it seems like typical transfer talk of an agent just putting out feelers and going, this guy's available. He wants to come to the Premier League. And then what do you do with that? You attach United's name to it, and it's going to get clicks, isn't it? So it is what it is.
Expect plenty more of that in the next couple of months, especially when we start reaching January. Can't wait for it. On January, Shreyas, the last kind of bit, this is from Romano as well. It says Manchester United want to avoid missing out on opportunities like last winter. But is there any players for you can think of right now going into the market who could be available? Like we were just talking about Gakpo there, where you're thinking, right, his young age profile, he's got a year or two, I think, maybe on his contract left. It's going to cost 25 million. Because all the max they're going to spend is about 15-20 million in it, let's be honest. They're not going to go out and spend.
He also has a release clause on his contract as well for about 34 million or something.
Has there? Okay.
So, So I think I hope we are not foolish enough to actually go over the release clause. Hopefully we are not. But yeah, exactly. But yes, I think if someone could have been available, I would still like to hunt for a midfielder. Definitely I would, because what I have seen up until now is completely saying that Eriksen is fundamental to the way we play. If Eriksen actually, and he will need some time off considering the amount of games we're going to have. He's also going to demand some time off. So who's going to fill in for Christian Eriksen? Because
could Donny be that guy?
Oh, we have to talk about Donny. Fucking hell.
Could Donny be that guy?
I've
still got faith.
Donny needs to just leave United at this point. Donny, it's over. It's over.
I think Donny could be. I think he might be able to do that role, but would still actually want to have some cover, because we still need some. If we have a rotational pivot of 2 players, then we must at least have a couple of alternatives considering the amount of games we've had, because we've seen Fred can't do this. Fred definitely can't do this role. You've got McTominay or Casemiro for the CDM spot, and then you've got Eriksen or Donny, and Donny might even be deployed as a number 10. You never know. So it is going to be key to actually get another midfielder in this window. I think even if we don't get an attacker in, we definitely do need a midfielder or at least a centre back.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get another deal like Christian Eriksen over the line, like a similar kind of caliber player, absolute win-win. I'd take that in a heartbeat. Okay, guys, that concludes the show for today. Thank you to everyone who tuned in. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and like the video. Be sure to follow us on social media to keep up to date with everything surrounding Manchester United. All the handles are at the bottom of the screen on the graphic, or you can just go to the video description. Video description? Is that right?
Yeah.
Video description?
All the links are in the description. So
there we go. Sam knows. And we'll have a full week of content for you lot, so don't worry over the international break. I know it's rags. There's no Premier League football. No one watches it. There's about 1% of people who watch it because it's shite. So watch Real Reds Talk. We'll have shit loads of things. Loads of fun, exciting, different kind of content this week. So keep an eye out for that. And yeah, thank you for coming on, lads. Your presence has been very graceful as always. So thank you to Sam and thank you to Shreyas. You got any final thoughts before we head off, guys?
Glazers out.
Glazers out.
Perfect. We'll see you in the next one. Adios.
Peace.